I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm laughing. I've been restraining my laughter all day. Partly because I haven't had an audience to laugh in front of, and partly because, I just need to save all my energy for this moment. And, you might think to yourself, okay, Shad has finally cracked. He's lost it. Maybe that's why he was away on the last Rakugo Shinju podcast, because he was getting himself, checks for if there's any absence of grey matter in his skull, making sure that he wasn't completely tapped. And I'm partially tapped. Let's be clear on that. but, we would proudly describe ourselves here at Warui Deshou as a bit of a left-leaning podcast. Just a tiny bit to the left,
Right, like
yeah,
like the Mount Everest is a bit of a hill.
leaning tower.
Yeah.
Leaning tower. Let's go with that. And we are an anime podcast first and foremost, and we don't usually talk straight up politics because that's only really relevant when it comes up in a show. But it may also be a touch premature for me to be laughing like this. But well, I remember a line the Joker once said in one of the Batman animated movies, which is, what the hell, I'm gonna laugh anyway. And if you're curious what I'm referring to, is of course the fact that everything's going down, up shit creek for the Republican Party in the US right now. Oh, it just warms the cockles of my heart. Don't send mail ballots in. Oh no, the mail ballots are all for the other party. How the fuck did this happen? So happy Friday, everyone. Getting that off my chest early because don't care, don't give a shit. Gonna drink it like a fine wine.
Glug, glug, glug.
Too right. But anyway, welcome to Warui Deshou's Deshou the Third stream. This is our $5 premium full fat patron exclusive for a time presentation, that is. I was trying to think of the right word that was going through my head a little reel. And we are back to cover a new show, which is actually a continuation of a previous show, but it's still technically new because it has a slightly different name. We are here, of course, to cover Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju Descending Stories, or, known by its more plain working title, Season 2. So, there you are.
Rock to go.
Rakugo 2, Electric Boogaloo.
I will accept that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be covering the first 4 episodes of the show today. And, of course, joining me, in this 2-man show that is Warui Deshou is, of course, the Soul Doctor.
Hi, everyone. I'm dead inside right now from exhaustion and existential panic that I'm still recovering from, in addition to some family drama. Well, drama's not really the right word, but just kid issues, with health, sort of. But everything's fine. Everything's totally fine. It just, I've had some moments this week. Not a lot of sleep. And I too share your joy at the seemingly inevitable Democratic victory. I think that I know that there's a lot of people that I respect out there on Twitter and other places saying, this doesn't matter for these reasons, or it'll be bad for these reasons, and there's still these problems, and they're right. The Supreme Court's kind of fucked for the moment, and the Senate is still in the hands of the King Goblin, McConnell. But still, this is unequivocally good, and still some good things will happen. Still harm reduction. So, despite the fact of my spirit is doing backflips, my body is weak. So that's why I don't have as much energy on this.
Well, god damn it, Doc. So much for the tolerant left. You'll find no such tolerance from me, motherfuckers. I am going to enjoy every second that living pustule suffers as a result of this.
Yeah, and I mean, this doesn't. I can only speak for me when I say that my glee and everything is not directed at every single person who identifies as a Republican or whatever, because this is, I don't want to paint everyone with a broad brush. There are complicated things that calculations people make in their head. People grow up a certain way, yada, yada, yada. But I will not be nice and kind, and I will not hold back in my sheer joy of seeing fucking Trump descend into madness. It is incredibly satisfying because he deserves it. He's made his bed and he now has to eat this, and it's great. I will enjoy it.
He can make beds? I don't believe that. Bullshit.
He only can make metaphorical beds.
Yeah, that's all he can do. Anyway, we'll put a moratorium on the politics there because, of course, things are still up in the air, kind of. And we do actually want to talk about anime today. We've got a lot of really good things to talk about. I, however, want to bring up a very quick thing here, which is I want to give thanks to Mark from Ono Anime for covering me last time. I think that's the only time in the pod's history where I've not been able to attend like a weekly show.
Yeah.
It's been a fairly unbroken record.
Incredible.
But I'm really, really happy that Mark was able to come in at the last minute. I haven't, unfortunately, listened to the entire work. I've got through some of it today, but then, unfortunately, a little thing called Microsoft Teams kept interrupting me, so never mind. Can't be helped.
I hate the Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, but Mark did an absolutely stellar job from what I heard, so absolute kudos to him. And if you're wondering who Mark is and thinking yourself, Jesus Christ, have I been missing out? The answer is yes. And the second answer to that is Mark can be found at Ono Anime and is definitely worth checking out. Does DJ streams, very, very knowledgeable and talented guy, particularly on music. So absolutely do give them a follow, give them your support, and give them your thanks. Give them your thanks for helping us out when we're in a bind. But I am back and I am ready to talk. Oh boy. I mean, it is a podcast, of course. There's going to be plenty of that. So you might be wondering to yourself, how does this work? What's this format? Well, how are we going to cover this thing? So for those of you who are not familiar, Deshou the Third is our premium full-fat $5 Patreon exclusive show. And
that was my Lupin pose. Sorry.
Nice. It was either that or possibly Austin Powers. I'm not sure.
No, I would no. It wasn't that. Try again.
I mean, you were saying you were dead inside before, Doc, so maybe you have lost your mojo.
That's true.
Yeah.
Mark does have a nice beard. I will agree.
Mark has a great beard, and I really wish I had one like that, but instead you get one that looks like a mixture of steel wool and dead ferret.
Before I forget, just because Gogo Atomic Robot has commented on the song in chat, just in case anybody enjoyed the Please Stand By music. It is song is called Lost Summer, and it's by Kiss Me Nerdy Girl. You could find it at SoundCloud, YouTube. It's good stuff.
Always down for kissing a nerdy girl. I mean, the song. Correction. Please don't. Yeah. Anyway, so this being our full fat one, we're going to be doing just talking points and Patreon questions. We won't be providing any plot recaps. We'll simply be providing context as we go where appropriate. If you've not seen the show,
watch the show. Why would you rely on us for? Just go watch the fucking show, dude.
Yeah, I will give you a word of advice. In fact, a couple of words of advice, which is sort your shit out.
Yes.
Go watch the show. Like, unequivocally, I can say that Rakugo is a great show. It's phenomenal. Not flawless, mind you, but still phenomenal, in my opinion, and is absolutely worth your time. So definitely do check it out if you've not already done so. This will be your last warning before we get into talking points, because this being season 2, it's still a direct continuation of what happens in season 1, and that's going to involve a lot of discussion of events that you otherwise should not be spoiled on until they happen in the show proper. Do not fuck this up. Turn off this podcast to watch the show. Don't turn it off otherwise. Anyway, so we're going to do that.
We'll be here for you when you come back. We promise.
Oh, it'll be waiting. It's got a good shelf life. But in case you're listening to this when it's gone free swear, you think yourself, hey, you know what? Really enjoyed Shane's political screed before. It was really, really nice to hear him roasting that twat over an open fire. To which I would say that's not our usual content, but if you do want to stick around for the good anime stuff, get yourself over to patreon.com/Rory Deshou, 2 free $5 tiers. Get yourself Discord access, get yourself group watch access. You can get onto our after hours pod to ask us questions of any sort that you like. Definitely political.
I was going to say, if you did like that content and you want more, you just have to be on the Discord, be a patron, and then drop the question. Be like, hey, Shadon, how's the British politics going? What's up?
Oh,
And then
someone asked me what I think of Nigel Farage.
that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And just wind you up and let you go for like 45 minutes.
Yeah. That's literally going to be the joke, by the way. I'll edit it so that I'll say, well, I think he's a right, tick, 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 tick. And that's why Britain has gone to shit. Moving on. Exactly. So yeah, do get on our Patreon. If you do have a couple of dollars to spare, every little helps. And that way you can also get yourself involved in watching this particular podcast or stream as it comes out week on week. And you can also ask us questions about the show as well. So you can ask us things about Showa Rakugo Shinju Season 2. So definitely do check that out. All right. So we're going to move into Patreon questions, creatives, and also we're going to move on to talking points. But before we do, there's one very quick thing I want to get out of the way, which is to bridge the gap between when I was last on the Rakugo pods and now. Because I wasn't around, of course, to offer my feelings on how the show concluded. I think I should probably get those out of the way very quickly. This is not going to be a full-blown lengthy one because, you've already had that podcast, and doubtless it was done better by Mark. But here's my feeling. I thought that Rakugo Shinju was a phenomenally brilliant show right up until the end. It was deeply painful to watch when, spoiler alert, Sukeroku and Miyokichi unfortunately fell. Yeah, that was bitter. And everything that followed after that. But it felt like an amazing story of the ages of people living through both Japan and the evolution of their art forms, for better or for worse. It's a phenomenal argument for the preservation of the art form, but also its evolution as well. It manages to have both perspectives. It recognizes the necessity for the authenticity of Rakugo and also its value in keeping it untarnished, but also acknowledges the pragmatic and practical perspective that times do change. People consume entertainment in a different way as they grow, as times go on. Like we have radio, where we had television, and so on and so forth. So it argues for, basically what Sukeroku said, which was you need both. You need the old and you need the new. However, I've said all that. I left episode 13, though, feeling a little cold on it. And the reason I felt a little cold on it was because, and this is entirely my own expectations, this is probably not the show's fault because the show didn't really promise this. But I had said in our original pods that one of the problems I had with Rakugo, one of the very few problems I had, was it felt like the framing device of Konatsu and Yotaro was not utilized as much as I wish it had been. I'll not repeat that point in too much depth, but what we don't get at the end of the season, and what we don't really get at the start of Descending Stories either, because it skips ahead a bit in terms of time, which I will discuss in a while. We don't get the immediate reactions of Yotaro or Konatsu to the story that they've been told. And I feel that's a missed opportunity. It didn't need to be exhaustive, it didn't need to be long, but I think that, while this story is now indeed about them, and it's also not just about them as characters, but also the future, literally, the passing of the torch, I still wish that we had seen more of reactions to that. I mean, the fact that Konatsu has a reaction in some of these episodes where she says, I will still kill you someday. I mean, she's mellowed out a bit, don't get me wrong, even though she has that very outward attitude. But I wish that we'd seen the more immediate reactions to the story rather than just, no, it's done, and then we'll visit Sukeroku's grave and the ghost of Sukeroku appears, the ghost of Rakugo past. Or Rakugo future, maybe, depending on your perspective.
Yeah.
Appears. So I felt a bit cold, and I was also a bit, I have to admit, I was feeling very nervous about Konatsu's decision, which is, I want to have a child to continue on my father's legacy. Now, let me be clear on that before anyone starts throwing bricks in my window. As far as a narrative thing, like I've said many times before, I don't mind that being something you put in the story as long as it's used appropriately. Tell any story you want, just don't subsequently then say, hey, you know what? Like, this is the only way you continue the memory of someone by just having a child with some random person. I was like, oh god, especially given that Yotaro was similarly doing his own path of, hey, I'll actually inherit the name, that way, and I'll carry on as Rakugo. And I thought, oh god, Konatsu's literally just going to have nothing to do with Rakugo. She's just going to be dealing with her, her trauma while trying to raise a child that she conceived in less than ideal circumstances, I would argue. Again, not necessarily a bad thing from a story perspective, But I just thought that she was going to get the short shaft of all of this, if you know what I mean. I thought that she was going to not have much to do with it. But I know where you're going with that look, because episode 4, like, basically cold copped me around the face. It was like, did you think that? You're wrong. Get back in line.
No, I was actually going to say, maybe she already got the short shaft from the boss, if you know what I mean. Perhaps he's compensating for something by being a big bad Yakuza boss.
This is only 3.8%, and that's like 60% too little.
Look at my big long kendo stick that I carry around. It's so thick and long because I'm such a man.
It's the only way I can say I've got wood.
Yes.
Fucking hellfire. But yeah, that made me just still feel a little bit concerned about what was going to happen with Descending Stories. What was its next step going to be with Konatsu? Because I feel like also there was a missed opportunity that even in this season, which I'll get to later, but I'll mention brief now, where there is no fight between Konatsu and Yotaro over the, hey, I'm inheriting the name. And I feel like that's something that I could have totally seen her having, as that scene happening where she completely lays into, like, how fucking dare you take on my father's name like this, you know? Because that's clearly the setup, which is, I want my father's legacy to continue this way. He's going to try and continue my father's legacy this way, and they're opposed in like what they want to do, and so that's why I felt it was going. I just thought, oh no, please don't have Konatsu also suffer the Miyokichi's fate in that she doesn't arguably get as much weight in the story as we would like. You remember me discussing this point, yeah. And I thought I was going to do the same thing, but no, I have been gleefully, wonderfully proven wrong, and that's what I love. I love it whenever I watch a show and I'm like, wow, I was wrong. I like this a lot. I like this a hell of a lot, and I'm glad that my cynicism was told to go, piss off. It's been that kind of week, actually, so it's funny how that all comes together. Yeah. So, I would also just want to point out something as just to bear in mind for something to think about, which is Season 1 was about Rakugo's past, and Season 2 is now arguably about its future. And if there's something I want to know is that I find that in a lot of works, whenever they do this, we're going to look at the past and go to the future thing. Decadence did this, even though it's not about Rakugo, of course. You had, here's the history, here's the system, and then what follows next? What's the future at the end of that show? And you might recall that I was a bit disappointed that it didn't offer any real substantial change. That it was just the same system under a new skin, basically. And I find that's a kind of problem that a lot of fiction has whenever it tries to... Because essentially, if you're going to offer a solution about something, you have to be smart enough as a writer to come up with that solution. So if you're writing about the future of Rakugo, you run into a bit of a problem where if you're going to say how it should develop in the future, that has to actually be something you could conceive of happening in real life, because this is a real life art, if you follow my meaning. Now, I'm not saying it's already dropped the ball on that or anything, but it's just something that I'm going to be keeping in mind as we go forward, because now this is where we're getting into more prospective. How does the art survive from here? We've seen how it's evolved over the past, which is set and, immutable. But what comes next? Just something to think about.
I think that they've already done so much more than I was expecting in this regard with certainly with the television stuff. And that's honestly what I was expecting and what I was chiefly thinking about when Kikuhiku and Tsukaroku had those conversations about evolving Rakugo and keeping it relevant with the times. I was thinking about the medium, the form, the television and radio broadcasts. But they're also talking about changing the content, adding new stories to the lexicon, which just never even crossed my mind. And that's I was gobsmacked by that. It's huge and important. And I'm so this sort of standoff between Kiku and I can't remember his name, but the sensei, the writer, the fucking the kid that was too good for this sullied world of Rakugo from back in the day of season 1 has returned, and he's the one that wants to write these new stories. And
can I have a ride in your car, Yakumo Sensei? No.
No.
I rewatched you just to give some context, if you're not in our Discord, Doc posted a screen cap from that scene in, I think it was episode 4, where the writer dude asks Yakumo to give him a list so they can discuss Rakugo-related things, and particularly some works he's created. And I misremembered it because I thought he just said no and just wound the window up and drove away. But that's not what happened, although in my headcanon, it totally is.
It's a possible future that the timeline split there, because that's what Yakumo wanted to happen.
Yeah. I mean, Kikuiso Yakumo, like, at this point, he has some, like, he's still the same old, like, slab of granite, like, as far as being cold and impenetrable. But there's little cracks starting to form. There's cracks starting to form. There's little bits here and there. And by God, like, not only does he have that, he also manages to somehow pose as well at one point while lying on the floor. But anyway, yes, I overall thought season 1 of Rakugo was phenomenal. I thought it was. I mean, you said yourself, Doc, about how the medium needs to be something that the material adapts to, and the anime itself, by merely existing, is an argument for that. It gets, if you think about it, there's very much a meta thing about this, where because it is a celebration, but also a kind of criticism of Rakugo as well. It inevitably can't, if it's going to argue for its own success, like that medium success, that genre success, then it's going to be saying things that it might not even intend to just by merely existing. I mean, you couldn't obviously make a show where Rakugo shouldn't be a thing, so it's just there's going to be no Rakugo performed at all. But you know what I mean, in that by like going into such details and showing how you can use animation, particularly to show off what otherwise is a very physical performance, it really goes to prove that it absolutely believes in the continued existence of the art itself. Yeah. So that itself is really cool. All right, so let's move swiftly on to start talking about actual content. This is not the point, of course, where I start going back into a random screed, but maybe I might do it at some point randomly just for the fuck of it. Who cares? It's a Friday. I don't give a shit.
Just so you know, that before we start with the Patreon questions, I don't have to talk about anything as far as creators, because we talked about them all before. It's all the same people. I mean, unless we mention the Seiyu at some point. I will actually. I do actually have something I want to mention about the Seiyu, but this is something I don't know, but I want people to find out for me. So the Yakuza boss, who we meet in episode 3, Mr. Kendo Stick himself. His voice, I am 99% certain he is voiced by the chap who voices Slayer in Guilty Gear Xrd. But the problem is, I could not confirm this because I went on my anime list to find that character specifically, and he's not listed on there. So I couldn't then trace it back. He's Slayer.
I knew it. I fucking knew it.
So he is on anime list. The character, though, is called simply Head Boss. And it's Hashi Takaya. And
that's him, yes.
Yeah, he's there as Slayer. Wow.
I knew it. In case you're wondering who the fuck I'm talking about, also, Doc has just died.
He's also, this is incredible. He's also in the Japanese dub of Harry Potter. He's Cerberus Snape.
That's a powerful choice.
Holy shit.
I mean, you can't beat Alan Rickman as Cerberus Snape. But that is a powerful choice for the Japanese stuff.
That's so good. So
damn. Good. I'm going to tell that to some of the people who play Guilty Gear at some point, and just see if that blows my eyes. In case you're curious, Slayer is a vampire who is also the head of an assassin's guild. So there's a kind of little bit of overlap there, just a little bit. You know what I mean?
Does the
also Slayer's theme involves smooth jazz, which of course plays a lot in Rakugo Shinju. So it all fits together.
Oh, he's also been multiple roles in the Metal Gear series. Would you like to know who?
Why the hell not?
All right. Are you familiar with President Johnson from Snake Eater? He is President Johnson. He's also from Phantom Pain and Ground Zeroes, a chap by the name of Skullface.
Oh, fucking hell. What a character he was.
Wow.
Man, I'll talk about Phantom Pain someday, because by God, that game is that game is like conspiracy theory bait 101. It's amazing how people try and rationalize away the fact that it's just not stellar by saying no, it's the phantom pain is what we feel when we play it and we realize we didn't get what we want. I'm like, oh, shut the fuck up. Seriously. All right, anyway, so that's the only thing I wanted to mention about creators. But yeah, you said that it was all the same people as previous. So with that out of the way, we'll move straight on to our one patron question for this week. And this particular question comes from Gogo Atomic Robot. Shouts to her. The question is, what is the meaning of the imagery chosen for the opening credits? Sue, we should probably mention what the opening credits are, which is, I would say, a funeral dirge. It's either that or it's a recreation of the congratulations scene from Evangelion. I'm not sure. They're all gathered around and they're just not clapping. It's like, congratulations, Kikito. Congratulations, you survived third impact. Woo! Woo! Just like, I'm just fucking Rakugo for what the hell? Anyway, so the actual thing is more of a, God, how do I put it? It feels like the end of like his life basically being played out. We have images like, for example, of him being stood on a giant vinyl LP of Miyokichi. And, well, funnily enough, I think that's the first thing I'll say about that is it feels like that he being stunned that is representative of how his life has spun out or spun away from himself or is just otherwise dictated by her presence in his life previously and how it affected him and how it, of course, affected Sukeroku. So there's that. There's still, of course, the tick.
Oh, he's on TikTok. Yakumo's on TikTok. Is that what you're saying? I bet he does a good Rakugo performance for bite-sized.
You know what's mad? I know full well that some like the Japanese purists would probably strangle me for this, but I would actually legitimately advocate for putting Rakugo on TikTok as a way.
That would rule. Holy shit!
That would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That would actually be. And so there you go. Right, we've actually solved how to get Rakugo to survive into the future. Put it on TikTok. Right. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going getting pissed. Off to the pub. Oh wait, no, I'm in lockdown. Shit. Fuck. Never mind. Anyway. So there's that, but we also have other images that come up as well. So there's obviously the ticking noise that I mentioned, which I think previously was more like the passage of time, but now it feels like a countdown more than anything. Is it a countdown to the end of his life or a countdown to the end of Rakugo? Who's to say if they're one and the same, maybe.
Exactly.
Well be.
You want to know something? I haven't watched the OP. So I can't answer this question because I'm a heathen because I skip it because I'm like, give me more story content. Fucking skip this OP. I want to get to the show now, right now. And that's what I usually do, to be honest, when I'm watching, when I'm binging shows. If I'm watching it week to week and I like the OP, I mean, that's one thing. But when I'm binging shows, I'm just like, I love the Netflix skip OP, unless you're talking about something like completely iconic, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to you though, Doc, like I think that you using that button can be a mistake. It's like when you watch Brand New Animal because then you skip the best part of every episode.
Well, the best part's the ending.
But you skip that as well because there's this next episode in 5, and you're like, oh, I'm clicking that shit.
No, well, that you're right. That the ending was too good. It was a little bit unskippable. Yeah, you got me there. That's one I wouldn't skip.
Yeah,
and
there we go.
Beastars as well.
Every man has his price.
Yeah, Beastars I didn't like to skip just because it was amazing to watch. And
skipping the Beastars OP is a crime.
I mean, yeah, I've seen people actually give that opening shit on Twitter, and I'm just like, we live in different universes. Like, we're all experiencing the same stimuli. How can you? I don't know how you could. Yeah, I just fundamentally don't understand that. I also never skipped Cruel Angel's Thesis because that's just part of me at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I would agree with that. The other thing I'll mention is at the end we have Sukeroku pulling back Yakumo's robe to reveal just a ribcage underneath, and woof. That's an image. Like it feels like that he is beckoning him from the afterlife. Revealing like there is nothing but muerte, death beneath. Like that's what the skeleton said. But also maybe that Rakugo is just all he is now. There's no heart to him or anything like that. It's just the bones of him are just Rakugo. And then of course we get the rewind effects that happens at the end where everything just undoes itself. And that to me feels like, again, that he's having this premonition of his end days. But he isn't quite yet because we obviously haven't seen the whole season. I mean, oh god, like it's gonna be rough because I know in my own bones, or at least I feel I do, that poor Kikuiso, poor Bon is gonna pass away at the end or near the end of the season. Because there's certainly hints in these episodes that he's not in the best shape. I mean, the fact that he weighs, I don't know, maybe 30 pounds soaking wet is a bad start.
I know.
The fact that he still continues to smoke 60 a day is also a problem.
It's true.
I mean, when you're dealing with Yotaro, I suppose it would drive you to smoke very quickly. But anyway, point being.
At first, but like he's grown up into a fairly responsible man, I would say.
Yeah, he has, to be fair. I would agree.
A lot to say about this guy. Like, a very surprising character to me.
Yeah, but also as well, there's a scene after in episode 3 where he performs Ino Kichi, I think, is something like that. I'm not sure.
I can't remember.
And after that, he's like,
blowing up like you thought I would.
Yeah, that's that's as a first aider is the sign I would take of. Excuse me, could you get the defibrillator, please?
What do you mean by that?
Defibrillator.
No, but why? Oh, I don't.
Because he's like, you know, breathing heavily.
Right, like oh fuck, yeah. You're just talking about Kiku when he showed him. Yes. Yeah, that was hard to watch. I was very worried. He was getting so exhausted. But it was like part of him, he had to just take everything that he remember, because like there's another point in the show we watched up to this point where he says, of course I remembered this small detail, like remembering things is my job. And so like, you know, he watched Sukeroku perform every day for so long, he's got like that muscle memory and remembers everything about his performance. And it must have been so exhausting to like just drudge all that up. And it's like he was like physically just like passing it on to Yotaro, and it was totally spent after. That was so awesome.
But the thing is, like, that would demand a lot of energy of anyone, because Sukeroku, as we saw in the first season, was a very, very animated, no pun intended, physical character. Mm-hmm. Very expressive. So, but yeah, like, make no mistake, Kikuiso's age, like, it's never directly like, oh my god, he's going to die soon, like that kind of thing brought up, but it is still very much a noticeable element of this show and his portrayal. People saying you get to enjoy, you know, this man like in the twilight years of his life, like he's like, they treat him almost like an aged whiskey or something. But like he's got just far long enough that he's at his best, but any more than that, he goes sour.
Mangetsu at the beginning, yeah.
One final thing I'll mention, by the way, is the closing shot of the OP is a candle being blown out. So yeah, a candle, by the way, that has melted all the way to the bottom. It's not like someone just gone along and go, or birthday cake or something.
We'll have to take some time to think about what this means. We have to really dig in and get it to do. Of course, I mean it's very unsubtle, right? But it's cool. I'm glad it's in there.
Yeah. I think if I had to say something about the OP though, part of me does then wonder if it is actually giving too much attention to Bon. Because this is still an ensemble show, of course. It is arguably as much, if not more so, about Konatsu and the new Sukeroku. And, of course, their son. When I say their son, by the way, that it's not biologically Sukeroku's son.
We know.
But, as is the case with Rakugo throughout its history, families are less about blood ties by a long shot, and more about deep association.
Yes.
And boy, howdy, do I have a lot to say about the son. But anyway,
Shin.
Shin is a good kid. He is a really good kid. But we'll get to that.
Put that kid in a sailor suit and give him a lollipop. He's just the most like straight out of advertising child I've ever seen.
Could totally see him eating like some sort of 1960s cereal.
100%. Yeah.
Moon rocks. the new lunar trait female.
Oh,
Free inside
cheesy.
your pack of free inside your pack of moon rocks is one of 5 collectible toys. Exactly. Well,
Mommy, I got some. Oh, I'm having to scan for the word. What's the word?
the
God damn
Challenger
it.
Spatial.
Um,
That was horrible for me to say. I'm so
is
sorry.
it what's? Ah, I can't read what I wrote. The J word. Jujin. What is it? What's the name of that fun kids Rakugo song?
It's not jujitsu.
No, no, it's definitely not jujitsu. Jung.
It's not
I don't know what I've written here.
jumbo thighs.
How embarrassing. But yeah, okay, I've ruined the bit, but I was going for that really cool, like, how neat, by the way, this is more like evolving Rakugo and kind of infusing it with something new, like that he did one on a children's show and it became like a sensation. Like, what a neat avenue to get it out of, like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it being performed in the theater, but, like, I mean, it's just like sort of, I would say the kind of backbone of the audience was like elderly people, and to get it into the minds of kids is so cool, and what a smart thing. And but yeah, that's what I was trying to remember.
Yeah. The one thing I'll mention about the candle element, by the way, and this is, I think, going to be the big question that the show is going to ask is, what can you do with a candle if you also have another candle?
Place it in the wind. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. You can take, of course, that candle and use it to light another. So, I think at this point it is really the twilight years of Kikiso, but also how we get to see Konatsu and Sukeroku the third. I was almost going to say Sukeroku the Greater, but I don't think anyone can ever top the original. Well, the second one, actually, to be quite honest. But anyway, we'll get to see how they progress and how they're going to ultimately affect the art form going from here on out. But yeah, lots to unpack from there. Do wish maybe it focused a touch more on the other characters, but I get the intent. I get the idea that, this is the passing of the torch. This is as one flame dies, another is lit. And I think that also because the first series focused so much on Kikiso, that having him be the focus of the OP for the first episode also makes just a certain kind of logical sense, because it's who we follow for all this time. Like, the driving force for us going into season 2 is to see really what happens to him more than it is to Konatsu and Yotaro, because they only really appear in the first and 13th episode. So the lion's share of time he's spent is with him. So it makes pragmatic and it makes practical sense as well. Anyway, that's our Patreon questions today. So thank you very much, Gogo Type Robot, for throwing that in there. Really appreciate it. If you want to ask us questions as we go along about Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju Season 2 Descending Stories, you can get onto our Patreon, sign up for $5. Gives you access to everything. Nice treasure trove of stuff there. And on top of that, you can then ask us questions as we go along every couple of weeks on this show. And it could be about anything, It could be like, hey, would I do Rakugo someday? And the answer is, yeah, that he's going to do Rakugo. Isn't he a madman? What? What do you mean he's doing Rakugo? Impossible. He's bald and stupid and ugly.
Stop it.
Sorry.
Stop it. This is the third Rakugo character. No.
Well, that's why well, there you go. The answer to that question was in a long and roundabout way. No, because I'm shit at it. But anyway, right. So let's move on to talking points. Oh boy, do we have a lot to go through today. But I've nattered on for a fair bit. And Doc is shaking his notes there in the same way that a gunfighter just holds their hand over the holster like this, ready to draw. So I'm going to pass it over to him.
Oh boy. I'm not really. I don't know where to begin, right? Because there's so many important things to say. Gosh, I guess I'll start with. I'll go basically chronological here. I don't know if this is the most important point, but I said a moment ago that Yotaro I found really surprising, and that's right from the beginning, from the first episode. He proves to me to be just so much more than I thought. I thought he was a sort of almost like a shonen hero type, like a Goku or a Monkey D. Luffy, right? Pretty empty-headed, but really sort of a hyper focused on one idea, on accomplishing something, getting better at something, and then that sort of draws people to them. But not really very good at much else, and not really with a lot of depth. Yotaro I find to be actually pretty deep, and I don't think he gives himself credit in that regard. And like even when Sensei shows up in the first episode and he takes him out drinking and he wants to be his backer, it's just a really fantastic scene when they're talking together. And Sensei is just going off about, well, here's a complaint I have about your master, and here's what I think about Rakugo. Here's what I want to do for Rakugo and where I think it needs to move forward to. And you get little cuts to Yotaro's shoulders tensing up, or you see Yotaro's eyes, like as he watches what he's saying, and you can see in his eyes, this kid has a lot of opinions on what's being said. He has ideas. He sort of, without maybe even knowing it himself, he's working under his own kind of philosophy of art and Rakugo, but he doesn't want to rock the boat. This guy's paying for all of his stuff. He's offering to be his backer, and so he's not going to get in a fight with him. And just little things like that I found really, really interesting and kind of exciting. Like these things kind of in the margins of the show that aren't being really forced on you very much. Because like the things that he says, he's still, playing up his foolishness a lot of the time and still leaning into that. And he likes to make people laugh. His art and his life are bleeding together in a lot of ways. I mean, like,
episode 3 shows that in very, very explicit detail.
Totally. Like, and he loves to make people laugh. And, Rakugo is, he tells Mangetsu in the first episode that Rakugo is about creating empathy. And it's like you can see in him all this empathy has been created from engaging with it for so long. And you just see little things like you see him watching his master's performance, and his eyes in that scene reminded me, Shadon, of Griffith from Berserk. These hawk eyes that are very avian-like, seeing what he wants.
Won't blink.
It was, and the fact that kind of intensity is there within him. Again, he's not just some idiot. He's not a fool.
No.
And
No.
I mean, that goes all the way through into episode 3. Was episode 3 where he had his big verbal altercation with the bot? That was,
yes.
What a riveting scene, that whole thing.
It was basically where he delivered his equivalent of the Scotsman's rant from Samurai Jack. Yeah, 2 time in nanny wearing, milk drinking, supper. I can't do the whole thing because no one can, but it was his equivalent of it. And I agree. This will actually lead into talk about I'm going to do in a little bit about Yotaro and how I feel about his reintroduction, if you want to call it that. Because for all intents and purposes, with the time gap that happens between the end of season 1 and the start of this one, including the fact that there is a fourth wall breaking introduction scene, which I find really fascinating.
Yeah, me too.
He essentially is the same character, but also very much a new one also as well. Because he's clearly grown and changed in that time, and not least of which being in sense of his skill. But I do agree that there is depth to him. He comes across as a clown, and clearly his voice actor is really, really enjoying doing this, because he just gets said, okay, right, we want you to take it to 11. And then he does it, and then they go, wait, no. Now we want you to take that to 11.
Yeah.
And again, 11 to the 11th power. Keep going. Ham it up. Chew that secret. But that's not because he's a bad actor. He's doing deliberately what he's like to do to sell this character, which is that he is enthusiasm personified about his medium, but also he has a kind heart as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's so like he's so honest and forthright. And again, not in and it's disarming, but in this different way. Again, like, you know, you can have a character like Goku just say what they feel, and it's almost like they're doing it because they don't know any better. They don't understand the norms they're breaking by just doing that. But you get that incredible part at the end of episode 3 where Konatsu tells Yotaro, "Do you know what you just did?" And he's like, "My hand's shaking. Look at it. Of course I knew.
Yeah.
I absolutely understand what's at stake, but I care enough about you and all this shit to still really put it on the line and do something that, of course, you think it's stupid, but like, I care. I really give a shit." And that, you know, when he's just saying things about like the kind of like his feelings for Konatsu at the festival, he's just laying it out there. And again, it's not because he doesn't know any better. It's like he's really considered this, and this is just the way he's living, and it's so beautiful, man. He's such a beautiful character.
Yeah, he's incredibly honest and earnest, which I find also interesting given his choice of profession, because you could argue that to be a good Rakugo performer, you have to be a good liar as well, in a sense.
Yeah.
All acting is lying after all, really. And it goes to show that he is certainly capable of restraint, as we see in the performances he does. Which leads me on to my talking point, which is I want to talk about the very first thing that happens in episode 1 of season 2, which is the fourth wall breaking scene. Now, back when we were watching season 1, I thought to myself, okay, we'll get to the end, and it'll continue pretty much immediately with, hey, I'm now an apprentice, and we're going to have a similar sort of story where we're going to see Yotaro start off as a rank 1. He'll start off at the bottom, and then he will grow over time, and eventually he'll take the Yakumo role or the Sukeroku name. You know, once he's grown up, so it'll follow a similar sort of pathway as the first show. No, we're not doing that. We're skipping straight through all of that because you've already seen that. You don't need to see it again. You want to see what he's going to do with his skill set, which again is a part of this show now having retooled itself to being more prospective. What do we do next? How do we change things? What are we allowed to change? What are we not allowed to change? You know, what are the rules? Do we tear up the things that we write for Rakugo, like Yakumo did, or
so meta?
do we tear up the rule book? You know, what's the thing that we have to do here? But I also just want to speak about his skills here, because think of it this way, right? You remember how I mentioned in our previous podcasts about how the show goes to great length to use different camera angles, close-ups, things like that, very quick cuts when doing the Rakugo performances to help accentuate the artistry that's happening here. That same level of direction is afforded to Yotaro's fourth wall breaking performance, and I think it's key to contextualize this in terms of this show. If I recall correctly, the first season aired in 2016. The second season aired, was it 2017 or was it later than that?
No, I think it was 17.
Yeah, but we would, of course, if you were watching it at the time, simulcast, because this was still, of course, in Crunchyroll, you would have had a gap. There would have been a timeline between the end of episode 13 and the start of season 2. Much in the same way as how, you and I, we watched Promised Neverland last year. Next season is out next year. So there's a time lapse.
2 years.
But, yeah. Unfortunately delayed due to COVID, but anyway, neither here nor there. The point I'm trying to make, though, is that you have to consider what it's like for the original audience and release. And I think that's why this reintroduction to him as a fourth wall breaking moment is so vital, but also really goes to show that they, through this direction that they give to him, show that he in turn has the same skill, or gain close to the same skill as Kikiso at the same rank of being a Shinichi. Like, the creators afford him the same respect and the same visual creativity as they did with Bon back at the same point in his career. So it immediately, in one way, asserts in a very subtle method that he himself has grown in skill substantially since he first started learning Rakugo.
Yeah.
But then we also get to see things like how the voice actor manages to pull off the cadence of Bon himself. He imitates him at various points, both with the facial expressions and then how he talks, and they were great. He really, really nailed it.
Yeah.
So this fourth wall breaking thing, apart from just doing the duty of, hey, This is where we're picking up at. This is what happened in the intervening time. I'm going to narrate the story of my own life like a Rakugo performance. I nearly got expelled for falling asleep once. Whoops. Never mind. He really is like Sukeroku. Oh dear.
Totally.
Yeah. So it catches the audience up very quickly, but it also very subtly but very artfully establishes Yotaro's skill. It shows that he has the chops, and I think it's necessary that it does this if it's going to skip doing all of that training, all of that build-up that we saw with Bon, which I think is a fair cop for it to do. But I'm really, really impressed they got that going right away and hit the ground running.
Absolutely. That was tremendous. Like, at first when I was watching it, I was like, oh, do we have to do, really? Are we going to? But then, as it's happening, realizing like, wow, like, this is really awesome what they're doing here.
Yeah, he's phenomenally good at it, and it's good to see they prove that, both just in terms of being compelling to watch as well, but also giving him that time. Like, we're going to treat him, from a directional standpoint, the exact same way. And I'll note, by the way, that we get a scene in episode 2 that goes to show how they're willing to roll that back to show when he's failing as well. But I'll come to that separately in a bit.
Okay. Wasn't it wild in the first episode to see just cars going by when people are talking? Was crazy.
Wasn't it wild to be in something approximating the modern era?
Yeah, because
kid with Game Boy blew my fucking mind.
No, the original Game Boy. Because, I'm in this same story, in a way that does not feel rushed. It feels so organic. We were at Tennessee, this old jazz bar. Did a badum tish. That's what I was trying. So, but yeah, we had dudes going off to Manchuria in World War II, and cars are going by. It's just wild. You really feel the passage of time in this show. So cool. Okay, what notes do I have next? Well, there's a couple things. So I thought, man, this show, Shadon, it's been a really long time since I felt like a second season or some kind of a continuation of a story. I just feel so paid off and taken care of. Yeah. I feel like the show is just delivering, and it really understands the foundation it laid, and it knows how to.
May I interrupt briefly, just to point, just to give you something that might help your point here, which is, for me, if you're ever going to make a good sequel, you need to take the core concepts of the original and expand upon it. This will sound like a crazy analogy, but I always go to this as my go-to, which is, of course, the first 2 Terminator films. And, daft as that sounds, think about it. Basic slasher film, noir thriller for the first one, machine sent back in time to kill a person. But then, next film, another machine sent back in time, but now you have the same model of machine as previous, protecting the new victim. Same core concept, but twisted a little bit, taking in a new direction.
Yeah, and it's not just taking concepts and reworking them whole cloth. You're building on what's come before in an intelligent way, so that stuff is working for you. It's you've already done so much hard work getting people to buy into characters and story arcs. Use people's investment in that. You know what I mean? And it's not, because this is all one big show, and it's not like some nostalgia grab. It's not cheap. Just this part in episode at the end of episode 1 when Yotaro says that, when I was a Futsume, I moved out, but I want to move back in, and I want me and Konatsu and you and the baby to live together like a family. That's the shit that Kikuhiku himself wanted to do at the end of last season with Miyokichi and Sukeroku. Wanted everyone to live together, and he wanted to take care of everyone. And here's this kid offering to do the same thing, in that, just echoing the past. And he says something. I don't even know if I have come to grips with the full implications of the fact that he goes, I want to change the Sukeroku that exists within you and Konatsu. I mean, what a profound thing for this kid to utter to Yakumo. And like, I feel like Kiku, because Kiku is just always being surprised by him in these episodes. It feels like he's always just doing a double take, like, damn, this kid, unbelievable.
But I think it's also affirming to Kikiso as well that we get to see that he's not trying to be a 100% carbon copy of Sukeroku. Like, he embodies the same energy, certainly, but he's not trying to be the same person, which I think is certainly a distinction that's worth noting and also very praiseworthy for him as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. He also really has changed enough to where, again, it feels natural to in a way that surprises me. I mean, he's already doing stuff like the whole scandal, that Yotaro got involved in with, which pissed me off royally. Like, oh no, here's a piece of information most people knew, and we're going to put it in the headlines, and suddenly it becomes a big deal. That he used to be...
That would never happen in real life.
No, this is a totally foreign idea. That's why it bothers me so much. That he used to be a Yakuza. And fucking, Shisho Kiku Hiku. Kiku Bon just is like, hey man, like, embrace your past. Come to terms with it and use it. And it's okay. Move on. You can. You're free to not be shackled by this. And I was just like, whoa, what the fuck? Who is this guy? Like, but in a way that was like a good, it's not like, oh, this character, he would never do that. It was like, wow, like, he has, like you said, cracks, right? Like, he's still a curmudgeonly old bastard, but like, he does care about Yotaro and Konatsu and Shin.
Oh man, we get to see moments of that, which I swear to God we would never have seen with him, period, in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking possible.
No doubt.
There's a part of him that I think has been dead inside for a very, very long time, and for whatever reason, possibly through Sokuroku's involvement, possibly through Konatsu and her child, that dead part of him is starting to beat again. It's starting to come back to life a little bit.
But he's also like complicated, because that's absolutely true, everything you just said, and yet he also wants to take Rakugo to the grave with him. He doesn't want to share that, and it's like he wants it all to himself, and he wants it to suffer because Rakugo has made him suffer, so he kind of wants it to die. Like,
exactly, yeah.
It's just so, and what did the sensei call him? Like the Shinigami of like the Grim Reaper, basically, of Rakugo, and he just admits it. Like, but he also is letting these other people kind of do. He's letting Yotaro try to save it, but he doesn't feel it can be saved, and you would think that, I don't know, you could see someone else, I guess, writing this character to be like, like, I love people again. I love my apprentice and my surrogate daughter and my grandchild. Like, like my heart has become sunny again. Rakugo is great too. Let's spread it around. But like, no, he's got these, like, he's like a real person where, like, sometimes if you poke and prod at certain ideas that they hold, they might not exactly fit together very well. They might be a little contrary, but it feels real. And that was it's just a fascinating, they've set him up for a fascinating season. Like, I'm really curious to see how his own stance on Rakugo and, like, whether or not it will continue after him, if it changes, and how he responds to what Yotaro and the writer whose name I should really look up at this point to how he
We'll
responds to what they do.
We'll just call him Writer. He's an Akadama Drive character. There we go.
Right. Good.
Yeah,
Good. What's he
that's all he
called?
is.
What is he called? Seriously.
Pass on that one.
God. Okay. You please go respond.
Please go and respond. Well, I agree with everything you said. It's going to be interesting to see where he ends. Basically, I am of the opinion he probably won't live throughout the entire season because
we have to. I feel like that we have to see what happens after he dies. We have to.
Yeah. I definitely don't want it to end where like the final episode is like, hey, I've saved Rakugo, and he's on his deathbed, and he's just like, that's good. Also, fuck you.
Right.
no, he's not saying that to Genroku. He's saying that's the writer. He's just like, come closer. I have something to tell you. And he's just like, Master Yakumo, what is it? Are you finally going to allow me to write my own Rakugo? And he just goes, no. I just want you to know, I've always fucking hated you.
I read your latest manuscript. Well, really, you read it on your own initiative. What did you think? Are you gonna allow me to pass it on? What? It sucked.
Well, it's very good thing it's not me on my deathbed doing, because I'd be probably a lot more crotchety about it. Right, so let me just ask the question then. Where did you write this in? Did you write it in your own piss? Because that's the quality of what's on here. Jesus Christ, wipe me arse with this shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'd be like.
Matsuda,
I'm going to be a very...
line the cat's litter box with this. Matsuda somehow outlives him. He's just outliving everyone.
Finally, more things for the fire. I honestly feel like I'm going to become a very bitter old man.
Oh, I can see it.
I've already got 50% of Kikiso's philosophy and viewpoint and personality. And I'm just I'm too old for this shit. I'm too bitter. Mind you, fucking man, not. All right. So my next point. Let's talk about episode 2, and let's talk about Yotaro's criminal history. So, the first thing I want to note is that I really like how this sets up in that we know absolutely nothing about the specifics of what Yotaro got up to as a criminal. Mm-hmm. He simply went to prison, and that's it. He took the fall for the boss that we meet in episode 3. But beyond that, what he actually did as a criminal during his time in the Yakuza is completely and utterly left to our imagination. And I think that's great. I think that's a really good start, because the truth is, it doesn't matter. It melds that idea together with the reality that he feels it should be, which is, it doesn't matter anymore. I'm no longer that person. Mm-hmm. I've long since atoned for my crimes. I've long since proven my worth in my new field. I've not bummed my way through it. I have literally become the second highest ranking, it's got the second highest rank I can achieve in this art. And so it helps get us on it helps get us in the same mindset as really where everyone else should be, which is, it doesn't matter. We don't know. And that's why it's not important. So that's firstly something that's worthwhile knowing. But on top of that, I want to know how also they use this to parallel both what's happening with Kikiko and with Yotaro. Specifically, we have the visual image of the koi tattoo that he has on his back. And context that you're probably all aware of, but you cannot really show off tattoos in Japan at all because they have a very strong association with the Yakuza. You could be regular me, who has 2 tattoos, but people will, if they saw that I had them, they probably think, wow, he's a right criminal. Although maybe the fact that I look halfway towards being a white supremacist is probably one of the other reasons. Come on, I'm bald, I've got a beard, I wear glasses, I talk on the internet. I'm literally a couple of Reddit subpages away from being, that kind of thing. Ain't happening, no, promise you that. But yeah, that is literally, I think, a great way to use such a thing where it's marked on him permanently. It's almost like a brand of sorts, really. And he hides it, of course, underneath his shirt. And even when he tries to show it off to the world and tries to be proud of it, people still what? Oh, that's a bit wrong, But I like that how the past, is both used as a good and a bad motivating factor for our characters to drive them forward, and then to also potentially set them back as well. indeed, Yotaro's past is that in a nutshell, in that it holds him back a little bit with these upsets that happen in episode 2, and in episode 3 it really comes to full bore. But on top of that, like, it gives him a reason to drive forward as well. You know, it inspired him through prison, Rakugo, that is. And then the very fact that Kikuiso's presented the past to them has also given reason to move forward. And that then, of course, ties in also with what's happening with Rakugo. The past is important, but should it hold you back from making changes and improving things and making them better? I would argue the show says, no, that's not the case. So yeah, the past is represented visually in a couple of ways on this, and I think that's quite neat. And then, of course, we have like what's happened with Konatsu, her history with how she seems to be falling into the same profession as Miyokichi. Something that she even says is like, you know, the curse of her blood or something like that.
Yeah.
She was very literal about it.
She's very annoyed by it. But, yeah, it's so cool how, like, Yotaro can be, like, an anchor for her. You know, like, she said to him, what she said, yeah, I don't... When I think about if I'm a slave to my blood or bound by my blood, I get afraid. But then I look at you, and I'm like... Nah, I'm not living a tragic life. And so it's very good. Like, I love that this guy, I mean, again, former Yakuza, like, seemed like a really unreliable cat, but he's like kind of her rock at this point in some ways, you know? It's so great. He's such a good lad. I love him so much.
I'll mention as well is that I also appreciate Rakugo, the show that is, not really elaborating on Sukeroku's past to show its sympathy towards people who were criminals. Because if you think about it, in some way, I almost think this show is kind of an argument for social mobility as well. Not strictly speaking for Rakugo, because it's a very limited avenue, of course, but it really does go to show that someone like who seems as simple, rock simple even, as Yotaro, is capable, if given a chance, of mastering an incredibly complicated and difficult art. And again, the show goes out of its way to prove that as well in how he performs and also sometimes how he feels. So it makes, in my opinion, without being overt about it, without anyone appropriate enough actually making a big deal out of his criminal past, apart from the people who have the least to do with it, like that magazine. Yeah, exactly. It really goes to show that it wants to show that, hey, you know, he might have had a criminal history, but he deserves a second chance. People deserve the chance to prove themselves. And that's also why he ties into what happens with Konatsu in episode 4. Yeah. Yeah. We'll get into that in a bit because we want to talk, because episode 4 itself is going to be the thing I want to end this podcast on because it's just so wonderful.
It's one of the best episodes of anime ever made. It's so good.
It paid off to build up, and it completely dispelled all my anxieties. But we'll get to it,
man.
But yeah, it's amazing how Rakugo argues all these things without being overt about it. Give people a chance, let them prove themselves, let them, you know, be who they are meant to be, and don't let, you know, the past hold you back necessarily. But also, it can be a motivating factor to drive you forward. Yeah, phenomenal stuff.
So fantastic. Yeah, like episode 2, man, was a wild ride for me because I kind of wanted to like stop watching and not experience the good boy Yotaro go through hardships that were out of his control, you know? Like, no, this shit doesn't matter anymore. This is gonna bring him down, and he's struggling, you know, barely can fill a little tiny, I don't know if that's an inn or whatever that is. That's where Game Boy Man is hanging out. Twitchy fingers. Must play Tetris. No, Rakugo. Tetris. Rakugo. But like, yeah, there's a lot. The baby. I love Baby Shin. Baby Shin is a joy. Child Shin is incredible, but Baby Shin is like, I mean, the fact that you get old man baby, in addition to like full head of hair baby, because like, you know, babies, if you don't know,
I don't
are born.
I don't think anyway.
They're born with a lot of times they're born with a lot of hair.
Yeah, I know I was.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
works out.
but then, like yourself, it all falls out. And babies have that old man baby look where if they have any
But maybe
hair, it's just a few wisps.
That explains why people were saying I was born yesterday. It all makes sense now.
Right. Yeah. Very good. And we see that, but then we see we see the hair come back as it does in full force. And like when he crawls in to Kiku's room when he's practicing playing, like just the look on his face, just like, I must have this guitar. I don't know what it's called. It's not a guitar, but he's just like, this musical instrument. I must have it. And you get to see Kiku, like, again.
Kiku's reaction is, what is this alien creature that has invaded my personal space?
Did you, using like omae and everything to refer to him, just like, what is this? What is this, like you said, this strange being? Where is the caretaker of this being? Can someone take this child?
Your baby has a strange expression on its face, which even as a non-father, I was like, that kid needs a diaper change. I could tell a mile off. That's what it was. Can I just also say, by the way,
okay, yeah.
old adult baby Shin.
Mm-hmm.
I have to applaud the show's character design because he is immediately the spitting image of Sukeroku from season 1.
Yeah.
Like he is every bit as carbon copy. Like people say, like I look exactly like my dad, and that's for. I'm not going to show a picture of my dad, of course, but you get the point. Like people say that, and by God, that literally looks like he's just been cloned. Like,
yeah,
he looks the spitting image of him.
He do, and of course, this all leads to like an incredibly touching scene with Kiku seeing Konatsu passed out, and I guess like it has a fever.
She was having a nightmare, I think.
Okay. Yeah, and she's very, like, flushed, so I didn't know if she was, like, sick, and that's why she had kind of fell asleep. Because the show had sort of... There was a moment prior where she talked about being overworked. I feel like I'm taking care of 3 children. And yeah, how he just, like, starts singing the Rakugo to her, and, like... And you see, like, it cuts to her where her face should be as an adult, but you see the lower part of her face as a child, and you see the voice, or you hear the voice, rather, of Kiku coming from the character of Sukeroku there. And it's just, like, I don't know, it's pretty magical. Like, it's really, it's really something how the show, like, it's still, it's like, the characters past and prior generations, like, I don't know, it's just so important to what's happening on screen, but not in a way that weighs it down. It's not like, season 1 is where everything great happened or whatever. It's just like, I don't know, it feels so connected in just such an appropriate way to everything that happened. And it just feels informed by it in a way that I really, really like. And that makes sense, and it's just such a beautiful. That's another beautiful scene that I loved a lot.
That scene was super powerful. I mean, I need to mention as well that in some way I get the impression that Bond probably wouldn't have done that if she were awake.
No,
like, she was weeping.
No, yeah.
But it goes to show like that he does really care for her quite deeply, but he has his own guarded reservations. Like it's complex, it's difficult. Because in some way I'd expect Konatsu in turn to like respond to him like. If he was offering any genuine affection, she'd respond to him like, "You don't mean any of this. You're an actor. You're an actor by trade.
Yeah.
How do I know any of this is real?" But in turn, Konatsu's like, she's very almost tsundere, shall we say, when when she wakes up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it goes to show that their relationship is indeed quite complicated. But they do care about each other despite their open hostility. It's just that they're not really willing to show it in public, shall we say.
Yeah, there's walls built up and things that they don't want to let go of. Like, and you get in that very scene with her kid hanging out there, she does the whole, like, I'm still gonna kill you. And let me just say, Yu Kobayashi's voice, like in that scene where she says, I'm still gonna kill you, is like chilling. It's that delivery is so good.
Be- yeah, between between her and between her and how Konatsu is animated, like she has some amazing. Like she's got the most amazing side eye. That would kill a man.
I know. It's so good, and then you get this really interesting like. The scene ends in a really melancholy way, man, and I want to hear your response to it because I wasn't. It left me feeling as disquieted as Kiku says he felt. You know, when she says, "I still want to kill you," but I'm not going to. I've decided because I want my child to hear your Rakugo, and like this is the first time Kiku's hearing of it, and he's just like, "I've been waiting and waiting for you to kill me all these years." You know, I didn't do it myself because you were here. And now you're telling me I have to keep living because of this child. And then the kid is like, meh, you know, messing around. And he's just like, oh, this child keeps breaking the silence. Why do you make me so uncomfortable? And yeah, man, it's what did you make of that scene? That one like was I felt a lot of things.
No, I thought it was great too. God, like it just feels awful, like how their lives are so defined by tragedy, though. Like, I think that again ties into everything that's happened. Like with it, I mean, heck, the end of episode 4, Kikuiko is once again visited by the ghost of Rakugo Future, very briefly out of frame. So even he hasn't forgotten yet, despite all the years that have passed since then. It's been over it's been at least 20 or so, hasn't it?
It's been
a while. Quite a long time.
Yeah,
it's been quite a while. I mean, heck, didn't Yotaro join and then say it's been 10 years and I finally reached my rank of Shinichi? So that alone is an incredibly long time.
Yeah. Yep. I guess it's been 10 years since the first season when he was telling the story and then he accepted him or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, and that Kiku still. Do you think he still feels like he deserves to die because of what happened? Like you said, his life feels so defined by tragedy.
I think that maybe he does a little bit, maybe not, like to some degree, because why else would he be so haunted by Sukeroku's ghost?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the key thing there. Like, I think that brings, because he gets this, like, it's a sense of guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that in turn feeds that emotion of his, that, you know, the fact that he blames himself. I mean, also Konatsu very clearly blames him, and, well, who are you to argue with her, really? I mean, obviously he didn't kill him, we know that.
Mm-hmm.
But when someone feels it as fiercely as she does, can you really argue against that? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, you can't just be like, well, here's a logical argument that proves my point, so your feelings are invalid.
Here, I'm going to let you watch this anime that will explain anything. It's called Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju Season 1.
Exactly.
And it will lay it all clearly out for you that I am not to blame in any way for your father's death, nor your mother's.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't think that would hold up in court, but still.
It's all the shoddy railings' fault. It's the fucking inn is who you blame.
Yeah.
Sue their asses.
When are we going to get Where's the ocean? Where's the ocean?
I agree. Yes. Exactly.
My God. All right. So I have my next talking point ready. Shall I give it a go?
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. So one of the other things that this show does is it argues for the preservation of Rako, but more broadly, the power of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very explicitly laid out in episode 3, because we, of course, have the confrontation between Yotaro and the boss, who is, you know, potentially going to claim Shin as his son, like taking back something like that. Like, Konatsu's been trying to argue against it. And again, kudos to this show for keeping that, like, both A, hidden until this point, we've not known the father's identity, and B, never even really overtly stating it, it's just kind of implied.
Yeah.
Like, it never outright seems to make him, like, to say he is the father, because in reality, like, blood links be damned or whatever, he isn't. So the show, again, through the way people speak about it, of course, makes that link tenuous. But he's like, nope, swing me a kendo sword around and prove I'm the man.
Mm-hmm.
The kid belongs to me now. And again, scrubbing toilets or something. But one of the things that Yotaro mentions is that part of the reason he likes Rakugo so much and why it's been inspiration is that he can draw from the characters in these stories.
Mm-hmm.
He can draw strength from them and examples. Like, they are an inspiration to him.
Exactly.
To the point where at the start of episode 3, he reads off an amazing rant to Mr. Writer while they're on a festival boat. And he later adapts that same rant, weaponizes it to talk to the boss and basically say, no, fuck you. I don't do what you tell me, basically.
God.
And it is as solid an argument as any for how fiction can inspire and drive us on. And that's why these stories do need to be preserved, because it's literally giving him the strength he needs to save his son and save his wife. And even though it's incredibly dangerous for him to do that, because he is literally arguing with a guy who is, a Yakuza boss, who is in no way afraid of pushing him around.
Yeah.
By the way, the portrayal of the boss, he's just presented as so mild-mannered at first, just like, oh, come on in, we're having a chat. It's great, isn't it? Don't you love the weather?
That's scary.
Do you like fireworks? But even how he looks like he's got the same look almost as the driver whose name eludes me at the moment.
Matsuda.
He looks like Matsuda. He's got the same mannerisms. And then the moment things kick off, he's just like, who the fuck do you think you are? I will rip off your testicles and feed them to your fucking dog.
Yeah. Throws him in the
thing.
pond. Yeah.
Well, he has a koi tattoo on his back, so he's just put him in his place, really.
I thought it was a carp. I didn't know it was a koi.
Koi, carp, same thing. Maybe it's a sea bass. Maybe, there's an alien who's going to come in and solve everything for them.
It's all related, yeah.
Yeah. We've got the Warui Deshou multiverse here. We're going to connect all the anime.
Yes. Suddenly a lure comes in.
Sukaroku. That's Haru there, coming in. And he's just like, what are you doing? Honestly, I could write this headcanon right now.
Sukaroku
Don't make me
bowl.
do it. Don't make me do the Rakugo X Suritama fanfic. I will fucking do it.
Man, this whole scene, again, this is one of the most... episode 4, I think I like better, but this, scene is absolutely captivating. Could not look away. I could have gotten an alert about the election results, anything. And I just, nope. Watching this scene unfold here in this inn with the boss and Yotaro and everyone else. And, again, the dude, he's not just some fucking dummy walking in there. Like I said, he knows what's at stake. He's put everything together in his head, and he's willing to fight for his family in a way that you just can't help but applaud. And just this drawing the line in the sand. It's my son. You don't get to decide that, and they throw him out and he gets up. He's like, no. Don't you two resolve this without me getting a say. And I guess in some sense Konatsu really does have the final say, because it is her child, she's the mom, the biological mom, but her opinion probably matters the most here. But I think she also wanted to keep the child away from the mob. And but God, just seeing this guy fight for this kid he loves, and you can just tell he loves him because you see him playing with him in the crib and carrying him around at the festival, and there's this great scene at the festival when it's all about to kick off at the end, and everyone is sort of going there, and Yotaro goes there last, but the volume of the fireworks increases slowly in the background.
Yeah.
It's like the blood rushing to your ears. It's with the emotional intensity. So goes the... And they go, and yeah, it's it starts out, like you said, and you think, well, they're just going to have this civil chat. But as it unfolds, and maybe as you start to realize what's actually going on, you're like, his life really is in danger. That guy's not just talking. Anything could happen. This is a man powerful enough to, if he killed Yotaro, he probably would get away with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that, like you said, he like in that critical moment, like he summoned like his
He turns
art.
into Titan for a second because this way this is shot, like with him sitting down, like putting his knee, folding his arms, like folding his legs, putting his hands on his knees like that. It's just like, right, we're gonna have a fucking talk now. Like,
Yeah.
I've never seen a man be so intimidating while also being sat down in that way.
I know. And like you said, it's all he's like drawing on these stories for strength, like drawing on what he loves and his art, and it's really really cool to see that. And I think maybe people do that more than we let on. It's just like our inspirations and influences are so disparate and maybe not confined to like one thing, or maybe they're not even from the same field or whatever. But I feel like that's pretty believable. And he was so, like you said, intimidating and convincing, and also paying due deference to this guy, which that's got to boil your blood a little bit. That he's just exactly. But he did it, and he made peace with everyone, and kept his wife and son from harm's way, and the kid will probably never know. Like I don't even know if anyone will ever tell Shin that.
Probably not. But again, just to reiterate, is there more powerful an argument for the preservation of an art form than how it can inspire people to literally save the lives of others?
Yeah, I know. This is like, I mean, it may seem like corny and shit, but like this, I believe stories in fiction are literally this important. Yeah. Honest to God. I mean, because like, when you get down to it, like a lot of people would say this about religion, but at bottom, religion comes from story. And that's what's at like the heart of it, is this story, this narrative. And so I think that just shows how important it is to people. Like, and so I'm 100% on board with you here. And yeah, totally.
It's also to some extent just the acts of confidence that performance can give as well, because you have to have confidence to do any sort of public performance. I mean, look at us right here. Although maybe you could argue I'm just too stupid to know when I'm embarrassing myself, but that's up for debate. But nonetheless, all the arguments this show is making for the preservation of Rakugo are like, it's multifaceted. Mm-hmm. It's ticking off all the boxes. And again, I think that also speaks to why Kiko Ito's argument that maybe Rakugo should not be changed is perhaps worthwhile, because there's a certain, there's a certain legacy that these stories have left behind, that they are still as timeless as they are, that they can inspire a modern man to stand up to, this guy who's going to take away his family.
We should not forget about the presence of Hanako in this episode. the little pooch. Was that a little Shiba Inu?
Possibly. I'm not sure.
Very cute.
I'm terrible with dog breeds.
Very cute. Also, I might have laughed the moment we talked about in episode 4 with like, may I have a moment of your time? No. I might have laughed as hard at this moment I'm about to talk about in episode 3 as at that, when Yotaro comes back to his house and is like, hey, master, I got you some goldfish. It's one for me and you and Konatsu and the baby. And then cut to Matsuda crying, none for me.
Yeah, I know. Like he's been an absolute rock, and I also don't think he ages either. I think he's
no. He's too good for this world, I swear.
We'll skip to like 2275.
Oh my God.
Did any of that get out then, Doc?
No, I kept it in.
Oh, damn it! Next time. But like, it's gonna be like a flying car, and it's just gonna be Matsuda driving it there. It's gonna be like the 25th generation Sukeroku.
Oh
like,
man,
right, take me
it's
to
like
Mars.
it's like this take me to Mars. We see like Satan like making bargains with people, and it's like Matsuda, and then also Mitch McConnell. They both make the terrible bargain to live forever, and one is good and one is unquestionably evil.
No, but I disagree with you there. I think the thing about Mitch McConnell is I think that he's just literally a lich. Like he's got a phylactery somewhere.
Yeah, I could buy it.
Yeah, it's probably it's probably a really gaudy like glass American bald eagle. I just look forward to someone smashing it on the floor.
Yeah, yep.
Let's see if this shit flies, Connell. Ah!
Kentucky made, all homegrown products.
Yeah, either that or he's basically the Republican senator equivalent of Pennywise.
Oh,
we all go down here.
Oh, I've never had the guts to watch those films because I find them to be incredibly creepy. The premise, so I won't. I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm. You should at least watch the outtake scene. Hey Charlie, you want your boat back? He's like, yes, mister. And he's just like, take the boat. And then Charlie's just there like reaching in, and the music swells up a little bit. It's like, and then he just gets the boat. And goes, thanks, mister. And then Pennywise is just like left in the drain, looking like, and he goes, oh, shit. It's great. It's such a great thing that I'm very happy they filmed. All right. I actually want to skip turns here, and just because I have a feeling, are we getting on to episode 4 shortly? Or
we are. That's the talking points I have left are about 4.
Can I get one final talking point in about episode 2, though, which is something I mentioned before?
Yep.
I want to talk about the music that was used during Yotoro's less than stellar performance.
Mm-hmm.
And my God, I've never heard such a limp piece of music before. But it's so deliberate. Like everything's really quiet and muted. It almost feels like it's completely without direction. And I really like again how they're willing to use this not just to show when they're doing really well as performers, but also to show when they're failing, to back it up with that. And I thought that was phenomenal. The music in this show, like it's understated. It's never like you wouldn't call this an original OST. It's not like a Kevin Penkin soundtrack. But nonetheless, they use it appropriately, and they really do use it to, help punctuate what's actually going on.
Mm-hmm.
Do a damn good job of it. So just something worth mentioning that, they use all the tools in the toolbox to help sell how a performance is going beyond simply just having the performance be a thing. It'd be so easy for them just to do a flat shot, like let's say webcam, like just me here for 2 hours doing a performance, and there's no music to it. We're just going to have this Rakugo thing, and we're not going to have any shifting dynamic camera angles, not going to be any background music like that. But the show definitely really, really works to help sell what's going on in front of you by making it visually and orally interesting to listen to. I have a feeling Doc has just left to go and possibly also sign himself up for Rakugo. Either that or he's just found out Biden's been confirmed as president. He wants to just literally start screaming fuck yes outside in the courtyard wherever he is. Maybe he's going to get himself a 44-ounce. I'm not really sure. So apologies for keeping you waiting here, folks. We'll be back imminently with discussions of episode 4. Hope you're enjoying it. I may have also possibly broken my headphones. It's weird noise coming through this one at the moment. But that's just going to be a fidgety bastard. Anyway. Yeah, I hope all your Fridays are going well. Mine is going better than it did previously. That's for sure. Been a long fucking week. I'm glad it's pretty over. I also received a crate of booze today as a early birthday present. So that's nice. I'm not going to drink it yet, though, because that would be cheating. I have vodka for the rest of the evening. Do. He hasn't even told me why he's gone. How dare he? It's either that or he's bringing back like his brand new ventriloquist dummy so we can have a third podcast host. That'd be, when I say third, I mean fourth. because Valerie is still our third podcast host, even though she's very busy. But yeah, maybe he wants to get that on so we can have, one of those. Oh, Go Side Robot says it might be a fire drill, but I think that if that's the case, I heard a noise in the background. Doc has returned. Yep. So, Doc, I saw you returned with your mask on. Then, did you manage to successfully perform the heart bypass surgery? They just call you in for a second.
No. They died.
Oh, the patient did?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Sorry.
Oh, God damn it! Did they deserve it?
It's another one. I'm afraid so. So it's no big loss.
Fan-fucking-tastic. I can sleep soundly tonight.
It was an alien attack. Go. Absolutely, yes.
Damn aliens. It's got all Mars attacks again, hasn't it?
Oh, man.
Right.
Okay. Did you like that movie? Because
it's been a very long time since I've seen it.
Yeah, it's been like 20-something years since I've seen the film. And I gotta say, when I watched it, I did not like it. But I was very young. My tastes have changed a lot. So I have no idea. I mean, should I watch it again?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us in the comments. Drop it in the comments. Should Doc watch Mars Attacks?
Yeah. Just do it.
Well, I guess I will then if I get the opportunity. Is it streaming anywhere? There's no because.moe for film, so.
There should be, damn it.
There should.
God. Maybe I'll put it on next Halloween for a laugh. Anyway, so I'm done with my talking about episode 2. Shall we begin talking about the magnificence, the heartwarming, pure joy of 24 minutes of episode 4, where all my cynicism just got literally taken out behind the shed, and I was very glad to see it go, and I just felt so heartwarmed by it. I've never seen a character so bitter spend so much time smiling and having so many different emotions as with Konatsu.
I know.
Where she does things like the most amazing, like, son's doing a Rakugo face, and I was just there like, my heart is beating again. It's taken only 25 years, but finally I have a pulse. Maybe next I'll reclaim my immortal soul while I'm at it.
Like, I was just like hugging myself, and like my feet were just stomping and like I was like a small baby, just full of joy, unequivocal, unfiltered, unmarred by concerns of the outside world. Total joy. It was amazing. And not just, and it wasn't this just like, here's some feel good, like here's some cute, and it was feel good, and it was cute, but it was also chock full of substance and follow through and payoff and building on this history that we've seen play out in the previous like 16 episodes. And it was just masterfully done. It makes me scared at what they're going to do later. If they know how to make me feel that good, then they can make me feel fucking terrible. And what are they going to do to me? But yeah, this was just amazing. This is like, I don't know if I've ever felt this way in such a undiluted fashion.
Yeah,
watching anime. I should know. I have felt. I have felt pure joy in my life.
I like seeing these fictional kids be happier than my real kids.
Exactly. Yes,
I like that more.
The birth of my children, second. Rakugo episode 4 first.
Yeah, I mean, Doc's at this point going to replace all the pictures of his children with just pictures of Shin in all the frames.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. And I'm going to do an even lazier thing. Rather than replace the entire picture, I'm just going to paste Shin's face over the top of their face. So it'll be their body, but with Shin's face.
I thought you were going to say replace your children.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's next.
Wow. One thing at a time. So we need to give context here, which is that it seems like the events of episodes 2 and 3, where Yotaro's criminal past came back, they haven't actually permanently stopped him. They haven't set him back too much. One of the few occasions I would be okay with this. I could certainly think of someone else whose criminal past needs to come back and haunt him, but give it another couple of weeks. I think we'll be good with that. Hey, just keep on going. Just keep on throwing those hits in. Oh, everything's easy. Everything's easy right now.
Swish.
So he has actually been on television performing Rakugo for children, and that's made him somewhat like of a national sensation at this point. But of course, this is the point where we also get to meet Shin as like a 4-year-old boy. So eventually, this leads to Yotaro performing a family show for Shin's class, and he comes out and does a little bit of a skit, and then he goes off stage, and Konatsu is meant to be going up to play her not guitar.
Yeah,
I don't know
whatever I used to know the name of this traditional instrument, but I forget.
Yeah, and instead, Yotaro's just like, "Hey, Konatsu, got a crazy idea for you. How about you perform Rakugo?" And she's like, I knew you were Taz, but I didn't realize you were that screw loose. Mm-hmm. But he pushes her out onto the stage, and what follows is, it's like, I was really afraid we'd never get to see Konatsu do actual Rakugo for anyone. I thought it was going to be limited to just her doing it for her own kid and never actually doing a public performance. Oh, I was terrified that was going to happen and she was going to be sidelined. Ironically, because again, she's a woman, which is something she brings up at the end of this episode with how she feels about Rakugo and public performance, but we'll cover that in a bit. But the point being is that they give this Rakugo performance that she does to the children the exact same directional and music treatment as every single time they've done it before. They give it all of the grand, swelling jazz music. Mm-hmm. They give it all of the close-ups, to her face. We get to see the audience's reaction. The kids are absolutely loving every single second of it. They are enraptured.
Yeah.
And then we get to see Konatsu also doing her own amazing acting. It's like she's been doing it for years. She's never really, she knows Rakugo, but there's something you have to practice. Yeah, she just sails right into it. And we are there with them, watching her give this full performance of this show and seeing how she is just utterly nailing it. And for someone who wanted to basically honor her father's memory, that was such a peak moment for me to see her pull that off. It was just incredible. It made me feel really warm inside to see her do that. And all I expect now of the show is that, without it being necessarily easy, because obviously challenges remain, I want to see her do it again. Let things change. Let her, show off her ability, show off her, show off her talent, and let her do what she was born to do.
And then they hugged afterward. They hugged, for the first time. And
yeah.
Holy shit. It was this whole time we've been watching them grow closer and kind of grow into their roles as husband and wife. That was originally made just for the sake of convenience, but there's really something there now. And, like you said, we get this, you mentioned the show being an argument for social mobility and for Rakugo is this oral tradition that the bloodlines don't matter. It's not a sort of familial inheritance kind of situation. But it's not exactly all meritorious, because someone like Sukaroku, the old and the new, it's they almost didn't get to do Rakugo because they almost were not seen as good enough or the kind of person that you'd want doing it. And Yotaro grows into that kind of person through being given the chance. He grows into this incredible artist that everybody loves. And I love that at the beginning of episode 4 that he's so popular now. And then, and we get this really brief glimpse into making this art totally meritorious in terms of gender. And I hate that she feels that her becoming the first professional Rakugo performer would taint the beauty of the art or disrupt the harmony of the tradition. And it's a very Japanese sentiment. So, it's hard to fight that culture.
But then again, that's what the show is arguing for. Perhaps it should be fought against.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, for sure. And we get to see. I mean, that performance on stage is the argument. You know what I mean? It's truly amazing. Yeah, and just everything. God, everything about this episode. Gogo is talking about the bus ride, which, by the way, public buses, like, again, just wild in this show to have buses, but yeah,
they'll have giant robots by the end of this.
I know, absolutely. Matsuda will be piloting the giant robot.
Oh, of course he will.
But like they are like doing a performance almost on the bus. Their banter is so amazing, and like Yotaro says, like, like we could do like a double act, like we could be and she's like, she uses the word combi, which is a word I love, the Japanese. He's like, you and me would be a terrible combi. Like, no, what are you talking about? And he's, we'd be like a manzai comedy act. And like, as she's denying it, they're like doing it.
We could be the Sunny and the Cher.
Mm-hmm. And they're doing it. And
I was hoping you'd spit your drink out of that.
No.
It didn't work. Damn it! It was a misfire.
And better luck next time. They have what's the line? When he says he talks about being on stage, and you see her make these really hilarious expressions about like a stage. And like getting all nervous but getting it's great. It's so good. Everything about it. I mean, everything about the school performance is transcendent. It's a transcendent scene, and this episode has made this show into one of my all-time favorite anime.
Yeah. It was good to see like Konatsu finally getting her moment. And all I hope is that going forward we get to see more moments. I want to see more moments where she gets performed to more and more people. Hell, like give her, get her inducted as a trainee, do all that, get the process underway. Let the thing is, right, I was concerned that the show would never deliver on us seeing Konatsu do proper Rakugo. I thought her role now was going to be the mother. And I thought to myself, not so hot on that, really. I don't think I'd be cool with her just doing that role as opposed to everything that she's been built up to want to do and how she wants to honor her father's memory. They have delivered on that. But like I always say, because I'm an unpleasable bastard, when you deliver, you've got to take it to the next level. So now she's done that. What happens next? Do we get to see her take it further? Do we get to see challenges that come with that? There are storytelling opportunities here. It's a good thing to acknowledge that there is indeed sexism in these arts. That there are very stereotyped gender roles, and it ties in perfectly with the fact that Rakugo needs to evolve as an art form in order to survive. So, you better deliver on that.
And
I want to see it.
Yeah, and if it evolves, it's not going to get the help from its greatest master, the 8th generation. He says in this episode, Rakugo is dead, which like was like a cold slap in the face to me. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, you're seeing like your apprentice is he's a star. Like it's clearly not dead, and yet Kiku feels that it's still like in its death throes, and whatever popularity it has is going to ultimately fade away with him, and so it's going to be up to these kids to push on and make sure that the art, the kids and the author guy who's seems really invested in it, and like it's so interesting. I mean, maybe Kiku he accepted his sort of dual kind of duality sort of relationship with, that's not even a good phrase, but his kind of a facet of his relationship with Sukeroku, the original, was, well, no, not the original. The main character from season 1. The original was the old man who trained him. But his brother, basically. Kiku and his brother were going to be, like, one of them was going to preserve the old ways. That was Kiku. And Sukeroku was going to be about bringing it to the masses. And maybe since, like, Sukeroku has died, like, I don't know, that he feels like, he still feels like my life's mission is not to evolve this. It is to safeguard the classics. I mean, he said to the guy, I'd rather see Rakugo die than become corrupted. Like, if it became impure, maybe, maybe he just feels like it would be too impure or something like that. But it's going to be, it's so interesting because he's not, like, actively trying to stop them. He's not like this villain trying to thwart their moving forward of the art, but he damn sure isn't helping them when he totally could.
Maybe that's because he doesn't want to influence them, because if he's very much mired in the old ways, and maybe he thinks it's not appropriate for him to suggest, changes and such. Let them find their own path. That's the organic way of doing it. Maybe beyond simply just being like, my time has come, I'm ready to burn out. Let them find out their own way of doing it. I can see that.
Maybe so. Yeah. It just doesn't feel altruistic though. It feels like more selfish, right? But I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's a big, complicated sort of way he feels about all this. That definitely has to do with his brother's death, and just all of it. I don't know if the show will top this episode, but like you said, this feels like a platform where it could really, really go and do some really interesting stuff.
It needs, that's the thing. Like, I always applaud success when I see it, and make no mistake, episode 4, it got a really strong emotional reaction out of me. Never mind how well it's been crafted, I cared about what happened. I was really happy to see Konatsu get her time to shine. But now, for reasons that make perfect sense for both the narrative, for the themes of the show, and just for more moments like that, as well as her character, it now has to keep that going. You've won me right back, Rakugo Season 2. I was a bit shaky with you at first. Now I'm sold again. Now I'm like, you're not the difficult second album after all.
No.
You're your own thing, as you should be. But that means now you are on your own, you're going to be judged by your own standards. You started well. Keep the landing. Like I keep saying, stick the landing.
Well, they have a secret weapon for the not the show creators, but in universe, progressing Rakugo, right, and evolving it. They have
TikTok.
They have Shin the Savant, who will be a TikTok star. That scene where he was doing the Rakugo. That was incredible. I love that scene as much as the bus scene where everyone's in the theater green room and they're just like, oh, he's a genius. I can't believe it. He's a natural. Our son's a natural. And everyone is going gaga. And then Kiku comes in.
His face. Yeah. And he's just like, oh, whatever. I don't care. Young whippersnappers.
Yeah, just like, what's going on in here? I swear to God. Come on, can we keep this shit down? Have some respect for the room. This is a green room.
The scene where he gives Shin a hug, like after, like, it just says never forget your manners and all that. Like, yeah, it's still very formal, but there's a warmth there, which I didn't think was possible for him to have anymore.
I was pissed that he came down so hard on Konatsu in that scene, but Shin softened him up. Thankfully, grandkids will do that. Oh God. So I've heard.
So, yeah,
I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen, both as a grandkid and as a parent. So
fair enough. Right. Well, I'm actually out of talking point stock. Do you have anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. I think I've touched on everything, at least in some fashion, that I wanted to talk about. So
Fair enough then.
I think we're done. 2 hours, and we did it. We covered the peak of all anime. Anime has peaked, and now the rest of anime from 2017 onward is downhill.
Oh, well, I suppose we should rate the episode then. So I'm actually going to go first. Oh, God. I don't really have anything negative to say, to be quite honest. I know that's a surprise to everyone because I'm the master nitpicker, the Brit picker. I can pick at anything. You know, I'm going to be honest here. I think the first 2 episodes didn't feel like quite as strong a start as they could have been. I think that this season does still suffer from the follow through from the last one, and it does cover ground up incredibly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually going to give this 2 ratings, believe it or not. For the entire block of the first 4 episodes, I'm going to give it 4.5 koi carp tattoos out of 5.
Okay.
But for episode 4 alone, that just wins the full 5 out of 5. Game Boys played rudely at a Rakugo performance.
Damn it! You stole my one.
Yes.
Oh man.
Got it. Yes. Well, you've got time to think because I'm going to rattle on a little bit more, which is to say that whatever I want to say about episode 4's construction, how it was written, all that, the payoff, like especially given how little time in terms of episodes has passed, was so worth it. It's such a great moment. It's a real highlight. Like as you say, you say anime's peaked. I don't know if I'd necessarily say that, but like if I put I think the show's definitely up there in like my top 10 maybe now.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have to say that this is one of those moments that I can come back to and point to as a reason why I watch anime to begin with. That I can get to see a deeply wounded woman who has suffered so much through the loss of her parents, dealt with such bitterness, dealt with the fact that she cannot pursue the dream that she wants to, and, truly practice the art form that she has got, that is in her blood. To see her cut loose and just utterly crush it, I have nothing more to add than that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go the full 5.
Yeah, I knew it.
The full 5. Old man babies out of 5.
I think I thought what you could have said instead. You could have said 5 out of 5 goldfish. So finally, Matsuda has one.
I should have said that. That's right. 5 out of 5 Rakugo futures with Matsuda in a mech. But
yeah,
man, I am struggling to not say a bunch of cliches, right? I laughed, I cried, and I did both, just belly laughed, teared up, thought a lot, was riveted on the edge of my seat, got a high fuck yeah count,
hell yeah,
in this episode. I just am so invested, and I trust the show completely now because it has shown that it understands what it is and it understands what it's already accomplished, and it has shown incredible writing chops. And I think that if any show could deliver on what it seems to be promising, it's this one. And I feel like even if it doesn't go the route we're expecting, it'll still be great because these people just do great. Everything that they have done has been really powerful and just tremendously rewarding to see. And like you say, this is definitely one of those things you're like, this is why anime is good. this right here, for sure.
This is also why Rakugo is good.
It's true. It's true. You know, as much as we love, you know, the episodes where the parts of anime where a bunch of high school boys are trying to obtain an idol's panties. This is actually the reason we watch anime rather than that.
Absolutely.
The worst part of Macross Frontier. That's the nadir of the franchise.
I actually recently rewatched that episode, funnily enough, and as I was going through, I was like, wow, yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, that episode sucked. The rest of it is great. Varying degrees of great. But that episode is bad.
Try not to play too much into stereotypes of, you know, otaku idol fans and all that. Anyway, this is not the Macross Frontier podcast reversioned, you know, we're not doing that yet. Yes. Right then, that brings us to the end of the show. So I firstly want to say thank you very much to Doc for joining me as always. It is great to be back. I want to again thank Mark for covering us last time. We could very well potentially ask him to join us again, do you reckon? Could be something we can think about. Get the gang back together, you know, the trio. Talk about it. Made me really jealous of his magnificent beard. Damn that man. I'll get him. I'll get him for this, I swear. I swear I will. But anyway, so to you, the listener, I personally also want to thank you very much for joining us. If you're listening to this on free-to-air, do feel free to check our Patreon at patreon.com/Warui Deshou. Get yourself on the $5 tier or higher to watch this live as it comes out. Get ad-free. Ask us questions as we go along. Definitely want to hear from you all. And of course, if you are one of our patrons and are listening to this, I want to thank you again for your continued support. It means the absolute world to me. It's really humbling that you're willing to do that for us, especially given times like these. We will be back next week with Akadama Drive. We'll be back in 3 weeks' time, I believe, for the next episode, which will cover episodes 5 through 8 of Rakugo Shinju Season 2. Really excited to see what's coming next. Very eager to see that this show delivers on everything it's promised so far and meets the high watermark it's set for itself. But other than that, I will say have a great Friday. Fingers crossed that the election in the US pans out the way it seems to be going. I will certainly be doing that. Fuck you, Trump. I hope, thank you. Yeah, that works. That was the single barrel. You can have the sawn-off shotgun from me, mate. There you go. Yeah, I hope you're having a miserable fucking time as you deserve.
No doubt.
I had to bookend by laughing. But other than that, to the people listening who are nice and likable, such as yourself, Doc, and all of our lovely fans and patron followers, thank you again very much for joining us. Take care, stay safe, look after yourselves, and as always, embrace you, everyone, to the ends of the universe. Good night.
Bring back the brothers.